Okay, so hello and welcome everyone. And I'm today we're going to be just kind of redirecting things, the energy, doing something a little different while I'm waiting for my boxes to dry and progress. I have more to do, but until then, because the time is not aligned, um, as a creative, you know, you have a tendency to pay attention to the energy. This is kind of where the feeling comes in, right? You may not feel like doing something, or you may be in the mood, you may be in the feel to want to do it, but then when you start doing it, you notice how you really don't want to do it. Okay? If I really don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it because then it's going to be like rushed and I'm going to fuck up somewhere because I'm going to be moving very quickly. And when it comes to me working on my jewelry boxes, I'm very excited. So it kind of creates a little anxiety for me. And with me knowing that, that takes it kind of depletes me and it takes the fun out of me, you know, creating them. You know, um, our energy goes into whatever we create. So of course, I don't want to create something to where somebody's going to have like bad luck or shitty mood. Okay? So I decided to switch up my focus just real quick to have a little fun. Of course, we're going to make another video because in this video, I just, went over with the girl. I just kind of filled her in, but I didn't fill in the guy. So, through creativity too is where we find enlightenment whenever we are working with our hands, whatever it is, because there are many things that we do with our hands on a daily. Okay, so, I love nails. I was thinking about getting some nails, putting nails on, because I do my own nails. And of course, I was going to record it, but I'm just like, the nails get in the way. I'm trying to tell you, they get in the way. So I'm just like, I'm not doing the nails. I'm not doing the nails. I have to be able to do the things in which that I need to do, so, but working with our hands helps bring us some type of enlightenment. Why is that? Because in working with your hands, it can create some type of patience, you know. It's like a tool for patience. So, I mean, you could play an instrument. Maybe you're a writer, maybe even a typer. Maybe you enjoy doing dishes. You know what I'm saying? Like, or cleaning, whatever. It's very what they call meditative. So when we get into meditation, meditation helps with the skill of focus. Focus is a form of meditation. Whenever, let's say, you're writing a story or writing a book, you go into a focus of your thoughts and transferring them to paper or computer. I love writing. This scene here is actually from one of my stories that I have been creating and working on for a while. So I first started off with recording my stories, just reading them. I would dress up for the video and record myself reading the story that I created. After some time, I got a little bored with that, so I started to incorporate music, creating music for my stories too, and as well as music videos, but then I wanted to kick it up a notch. So here we are in the beginning phases of, digital animation. So I have a couple of videos, but, I'm not a professional animator. I haven't gone to school. There are individuals who are professionals who do teach. I have sat in for seminars, lectures or whatever, demonstrations, but it all seems so complicated. Everybody doesn't learn the same. Some people, they can receive the information as it's being told. Some individuals, they have to experience it. So I'm the type of person to where I have to be hands-on. You can show me something once, right? But that's not enough. Like, I need to be in some type of motion of it, So I just told myself, I said, I'm just gonna, I already know how to draw, so it's not really a big deal. I'll just do the best in which that I can. And so here we are. So yeah, this scene here, this is going to represent, so the guy, his name is Berry Blue, and the woman, her name is Apple Red. So Apple Red comes from a very unusual, very rare background, to where she was born on a floating platform that was created generations before she was born. So before she was born on this platform with these lost people on it, they created a way of life. So there was a major plane crash. The plane crashed into the water. Some individuals lost their lives and some didn't, but the ones that survived, a lot of the plane particles and parts floated to the top. And there was a welder. This welder was also the individual that was responsible for landing them in the way in which that the plane landed. Because, in a plane crash, you pretty much dead. Okay, so not all the time, but majority. So, he took over the plane and he was able to kind of land the plane. He saved most lives, but not all lives. So with his welding skills, these different parts of the plane, individuals would, use them to float in the water. They found some materials and, the dude ends up welding the metal pieces from the plane together. Okay, so this place is pretty magical, right? Because after the plane crashed, there were many planes that flew in that same direction that crashed in the water too. However, those individuals didn't make it. So the bodies went to the ocean floor and the plane parts would float. So of course, there are some magical things going on here under the water. Okay, but we don't get into that, into the story, until later. So, you can imagine with having to be creative with putting this platform together. These individuals, they created all type of tools, things that would be necessary for them to use. Over time, they built 2 stories on top of the platform. So, they created a certain way of life to where fishing is very important. Fishing is like the number one survival tactic. So there's just a lot that just kind of went on around the area of fishing. Around the time to where she was a young adult, that is when rescuers came and rescued individuals from the platform. Okay, and this place was close to Colombia. So everybody was transferred over to Colombia. So she spent a couple of years in Colombia, then she made her way over to the States. She stayed in the States for a little bit looking for, a new life. But it didn't turn out well for her. So she's deciding she's going to go back to Colombia. So Mr. Berry Blue, around the time they meet, his life is completely falling apart. He loses his marriage. He loses his job. He loses his credentials. He loses his credibility. He loses his friends. So he's in a very depressed state, trying to figure it out about what he's going to do, dealing with the devastation, and it's very fresh. Okay, so he's on his way to a bar, and she walks by, and when she walks by, he is so mesmerized and taken by her. Okay, it's kind of like all of his troubles just leave and fade away when he sees her. She is very magical. Berry Blue is very logical. So he cannot understand the pull that he has towards her, but his life is falling apart anyway. He's not necessarily thinking straight. He follows her to the pier to where the boat is coming to take them, transport them over to Colombia. So he decides to jump on the boat with her. Okay, and so this boat, it's not a luxurious boat at all. It doesn't even have seats. It just has hammocks. Okay, the boat is not really safe. Okay, I guess you could say this is an illegal boat, which is why it came very late at night to pick these individuals up. Okay, so that is where we are at here right now within the story. So during the time to where they're on this boat ride, of course, it's going to be an adventure. It's going to be a couple of days. The boat is going to have to stop at certain places to get fuel. They will have a chance to go to markets, get food, whatever. Because this boat does not have food. Okay, this boat is just transportation. That's all it is, right? It does not come with customer service, room service, nothing like that. Okay, this is going to be very different for Mr. Barry Blue because he's a very wealthy guy. You know, loves his luxury, loves his comforts, loves to look good, to smell good, this and that. So the world that he is about to enter into with Miss Red is going to change his perspective and help heal him from his life collapsing. Okay. And the story goes into other characters as well in other situations too. But that's like the whole, that's the whole story put together. Okay. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. And, you know, so next time that we come back, I'm going to have worked on Mr. Blue. But until then, we will talk again. Thank you.